Kevin, you want to lead us in prayer?
Sure. Bow with me, please. Our most gracious and kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you give us each and all every day, Lord. I pray that you lead, guide, and direct this court in all we do, Lord. I pray that you bring our first responders, servicemen and women home safely each and every day, Lord, and bless them for all they do for serving us locally and this country, Lord. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and call Marshall County Fiscal Court to order July 2nd, 2019. Under guests, Mr. Jeffrey Dyer. Do you want to come up here to the podium, please? Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I would like to discuss the need line and the Christmas lights. It's my understanding that the funding has always been for the Christmas lights has always been for need line. When we drive through, we donate money and different kinds of food for need line. And that this has been suggested to change to a list of groups of 503C, I believe. I have the list here. And they can apply. And then you as judge executive, and there are 3 commissioners, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Will decide upon how that money will be dispersed. And last year, it's my understanding, there was $60,000 collected. Anyway, and when these lights were donated by Mr. Where is his name? The man who donated those lights, he did this with the agreement with this county that it would all go to need line. Now, number one, I don't understand if these lights were donated with the understanding in 2000 or 2001 that the money collected would go to need line, how we can change that. Number one, that was an agreement with the county. So, number one. And number two, why would we want to, when this is the main donation for money for need line, which does a wonderful job in this county? I have followed need line for several years as a citizen of Marshall County. And I'm hoping that this is not going to change. I have the list here of the 503Cs, and I would hope that you're not going to change it, number one. And number two, if you're going to change it, you will have, well, I just don't want you to change it. I don't know how you have the legal right to do it. When the lights were donated for a specific reason, and there was agreement with the county. Could I have an answer?
Sure. I'm not aware of an agreement. Do you have a copy of an agreement?
Do I have a copy of what?
An agreement.
No. I would think that was done in 2000 or 2001. You'd have to go back that far.
And the reason why I ask is I don't think, without an agreement, from my understanding, I don't think a fiscal court can bound a future fiscal court without some type of a legal document.
Can you not go back into your records and find it?
No. Jason, can you explain what I'm trying to explain?
Well, I've never seen an agreement, so I mean, if one exists, I would have to read it before I would be able to.
Well, then, can you not go back and look at your records in 2000 or 2001?
Oh, if we've got one, yeah, we can. I'm not even sure that one exists, but if we do have one, then I'd be glad to take a look at it.
And what I'm trying to say too is without a legal binding document, to some degree, I don't think a fiscal court in 2001 can dictate what a fiscal court in today can do without legal documents. We've had that discussion, I think, a year or two ago.
Why would you take the money away from Needline like this when this is their main fundraiser?
Well,
These other entities have other ways to raise money and have done it for years. So why suddenly would you take this money away from Needline when this has been their main fundraiser for the year?
okay, and I'm going to disagree with that statement.
Okay.
We're not taking monies away from anybody.
Well, you will.
There's no guarantee on that. The Parks Director stood in front of all the organizations several months ago and explained the process. There was no outcry. There was no disagreement. But to say that we're taking monies away from an organization, there's no monies being taken away from anybody. I think you said that you routinely donate to Needline?
I do.
Okay. That is where the donations come from, is from the citizens from within the county. And actually, it's even within the region. So as far as the statement that we or I am taking away monies from Needline is not a accurate statement.
Well, excuse me, but it is taking money that Needline depends upon if it's not going to receive the money that is raised when we go through the park for, and knowing that that money also is going to go to Needline. And Needline also knows to depend upon that. We also know that money, that the $200,000 has been, the grant monies has been reduced in the budget to $50,000, so you had to only take that $50,000 and separate that into wherever it goes now. So we're already at a reduced rate to wherever the grant money went. So now we only have the money that's going to go to Needline at Christmas, plus what people in this county donate to Needline.
The budget was approved and passed
I
last.
understand, and I'm not questioning
meeting.
that at this point. All I'm questioning today is the money that you are going to take from Needline and instead, with this list, tell them to apply for this money now.
Well, let me go back to what I was saying. The budget was approved last week.
That's right.
There was an increase on the line item. There was a $75,000 increase. So I don't know, as far as the facts of the conversation, it's no longer 50,000, it's 125,000. And again, the intent, I don't know who you're getting your information from, but the intent is not to take monies from any organization. The intent of what the Parks Director and the parks, if you look at, I know you're talking about lights that were donated in 2001. That's what, 20 plus years ago? We have since increased the lights. I mean, we've repaired lights, we've added new lights. I know several years ago we had actual several $1,000s of lights ordered. I mean, over a period that is that long, those lights have been replaced and upgraded. The county has funded that. We actually, I think, is it $10,000?
Yes.
Annually on the Christmas lights, the labor cost. I mean, it is a government park, and it is basically a county function with the Christmas lights. So the county's making a decision to, and this is one of the things that we asked the new director to do, was to market the park. And it's not just, and the chairman of Needline has sat in my office and we've discussed this. I know he's been out to the park and he's met with the director. You don't focus just on one event. It has to be continuous events throughout the year, which the park director, we're letting those organizations use the park so that they can get their message out, so they can capture more donations from people in our community, not just on one event, but throughout the year. So I do disagree with the statement that we are taking monies away from any organization. And I don't know where you're getting your information, but that's not accurate.
So if you decide, which sounds like you're going to, when you decide to distribute this money to whatever entities apply for this money, is it going to be in an open session, or are you going to do it in closed doors?
No, and this is what was discussed, okay? The organizations actually showed up and they were given this presentation. Are you a part of any of these organizations?
No, I'm
okay,
not.
so you're just a concerned citizen.
I'm a concerned
Okay.
citizen.
When cash is handed over into the park, okay, the park, the county government needs to be accountable of those dollars. In years past, we were not. So that's one issue, is that any monies that come into the park through an event like that involves cash, it's going to be accounted by the county government. So that was the first thing that we wanted to make sure that we did. And actually, there's some creative things that are in place to where cash doesn't even have to be collected hand to hand. There's so many options out there to take this event and grow it, make it bigger, and make it more, how would you say, with the 21st century, there's so many tools out there that folks can donate. I mean, that if people would just stop and think about that, the opportunities that we have today in 2019 compared to 2001 have changed. And if you don't change, then you're actually not going to capture what your potential is. And that's what we see. We're going to do that. We're going to change how we can actually capture donors and make it easy for folks to donate to these organizations. And we're opening it up to other organizations that have a public purpose in our community as well.
My question is, when you distribute this money, first of all, are we going to know as citizens of the county what groups are going to apply for the money, and then how you're going to distribute it?
We'll probably, when we get to that point, because we're talking November and December, yes, we can make that information public.
How will you make it public?
We can put that information out. We have several different platforms. We have a web page, we have a Facebook page, we have Open Court. The Parks has a web page. There's many ways that we can make it public.
We also have a local newspaper that many of us read.
Right. And that costs money to advertise or put it in the paper. We have platforms.
I would think it's a public notice, so it would be put under a public notice. It's money that is our money.
I didn't know if she's talking about the Christmas lights or the grant application, because it's two separate things. I mean, if she...
Are you talking about the Christmas lights, the grant application?
You said the money collected at this park is allegedly going to change from going to one group. It's going to be distributed to a group. They're going to apply for it. And
No. Brittany, do you mind coming up here and explaining? Yes, just explain. So give the presentation that you gave to the organizations.
So basically what will happen is the groups will apply to come in, and they can apply to collect money during the Christmas light show. So one group will be selected for each week of the Christmas light show, and then from that point we will divide the money evenly that comes in. So whether a group works the first week of the Christmas light show or whether they work the very last week, that money will be divided evenly amongst those groups who are selected to work a week. So it won't be that specific amounts are allotted for each group or anything like that. It will be evenly split amongst the groups that are brought in to work the lights. And then another point too is the fact that we do put $10,000 a year into the light show, and because of that, there are a lot of additional lights than were originally there when it was started. I have looked through all of the past documentation at the park, and there's no legal agreement that we have seen anywhere at the park. So unless it's housed somewhere else, I have asked Needline. Needline has looked. They do not have a formal agreement either. But I have spent time with Gene Gillen, Doug Moore. They have both come in. I have sat down and spent time with them at the park. And then Becky Cornwell, the director, has also come in. And going past what I'm working on at the park for them, I've also sat down and showed her exactly what Needline needs to do to be successful, as I do have some experience running a 501c3 now as well in fundraising. So I have actually gone through and showed her exactly what Needline needs to do, where to look for the funds, what to do with that, how to get people involved, how to get volunteers, how to plan events, how to raise money. I've also been helping them in that aspect as well to be able to grow Needline and to fund Needline as well. Mm-hmm. Do you have any other questions for me? Okay, great.
We thank you, Brittany.
No problem.
And Ms. Dryer,
Yes, I do. We will know the groups who are going to come in to volunteer then.
Yes, absolutely. That will be a part of that package that we'll offer them through the park, is I will be marketing each group for each week. So not only will they be selected to come out to the park to collect money, we'll be putting their message out there to the entire area through press releases, through video spots, through social media, through a lot of different avenues, so that the community will not only know who's out there collecting money, but they'll know their mission and their needs and how to get involved with that group as well. So really it will be going above and beyond what has been offered to Needline in the past. So although their window may be shorter that they're going to be working at the park, the resources available to them and the promotions that will be allotted to them will be far greater. And then we've also created additional opportunities for them to come back to the park and raise funds through other avenues as well. And I don't know if that's information that was passed on to you or not, but we are working with them on additional fundraising opportunities that I'm working on getting squared away right now, where they'll be able to come in and raise funds, as well as other nonprofits as well. So we just won't be doing anything specifically for one nonprofit. It will be open to multiple as well.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
and Ms. Dryer, we just searched and we do not find an agreement.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I see Chad sitting there. Chad, you want to come up on a drawdown for the KIE project? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You can see the grass is starting to grow back slowly.
I see
being
that.
Summertime, but getting pretty close on the project. And just a quick status report here on the drawdown on the Draftonville sewer expansion. A couple weeks ago, we got the lift stations tested and turned on the project. So as far as where we stand right now, everything that was in the original scope of the project that was bid out for MERTCO is now actively in service and ready to accept new customers in the sanitation district here in Draftonville. The only items remaining at this point, we call them sewer lines I and J. That's items K and L there on the cover sheet of the letter that I submitted. Line I is the line going up to the school's wastewater treatment plant. I know they're working through some discussions with the school right now on some screening of their influent. And then the sewer line J, that's the line that was added in for the use of the residual funds on the project to go to Memory Lane to pick up that package plant for the trailer park up there. And we're waiting on environmental permits right now. We've got 70% of them, so as soon as we get the last couple in, and we got to secure one more easement on that section through there, then we'll be ready to go to construction to finish that line J as well.
How long will that take? Do you know once it gets started?
We've estimated a month construction. Probably will go faster than that given the time of year. Dry weather should be pretty easy for them to get through there without much in the way between lift station and the trailer park.
Good. And I see some development happening in Draftonville.
It's open for it.
Yeah.
And I know the district's getting a lot of calls for expansion and extensions off of the lines that were already put
That's
in
good.
there. But yeah, from a commercial standpoint, and residential both, I know people are already tying on, and they've already got a couple of customers hooked up already, and they're getting flow.
Good. That's what
Everything's
they
working
need.
good.
All
Anybody
right.
else have any questions regarding that project? All right, the submittal here does include a change order to extend that contract time a little bit, and that's just to give that contractor, Merco, more time within their contract to wait on those permits to come through and build that Line J as part of this project. We'll extend that as part of the KA loan, make sure that all the timelines match up with the invoicing that we submit for the project.
Okay. If anybody doesn't have any questions, need a motion to accept for me to sign this.
Motion to approve, Judge.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate it,
Any other
Chad.
questions, Chad? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chad.
Personnel changes. Do you got that list?
This is personnel changes effective June 2019. Brenda Edwards, treasurer, transitional assistant, intermittent, part-time, effective 6/6/2019 at $25 per hour. Kent Lawrence, part-time coroner, effective 5/23/2019 at $4,800 per year. Robert Johnson, wage increase 50 cents, rank pay for corporal, effective 6/1/2019, total wage $24.94. Nick Spears, wage increase 50 cents, rank pay for corporal, effective 6/1/2019, total wage $24.70. Rita Holland, intermittent, part-time janitor, effective 5/1/2019, $11 per hour. Ashton Harrington, animal shelter, part-time kennel worker, effective 6/4/2019 at $11 per hour. Autumn Evans, animal shelter, part-time kennel worker, effective 6/5/2019 at $10.42 per hour. I'll make a change real quick. That Ashton Harrington should be at $10.42 per hour, not $11 per hour. Lauren Albritton, wage increase at $17.35 to $17.68, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Melanie Connor, wage increase from $21.96 to $22.38, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Elizabeth Cosner, wage increase from $13.50 to $14.50, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Christy Edwards, wage increase from $20.94 to $21.34, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Vicky Frazier, wage increase from $13.75 to $14.75, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Chrissy Greer, wage increase from $21.96 to $22.33, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Kristen English, wage increase from $13.50 to $14.50, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Joy Jackson, wage increase from $19.01 to $19.37, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Rena Jones, wage increase from $17 to $17.32, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Holly Moore, wage increase from $20.37 to $20.76, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Leanne Phelps, wage increase from $18.77 to $19.13, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Delia Riley, wage increase from $20.43 to $20.82, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York.
Can I stop and ask you a question there?
Sure can.
I thought she was retired.
She is, but she comes back and
Does
fills in.
part-time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, she did
I was
retire.
just making sure it wasn't like
Yes.
the wrong name. They just
No, that's
stuck
right.
that in there. Okay.
Yeah, and she works very infrequently, but yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Lakin Robinson, wage increase from $14.25 to $15.25, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Babby Teckenbrock, wage increase from $17.96 to $18.30, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Dara Smith, wage increase from $18.50 to $18.86, effective 6/1/2019 per Tim York. Chad Ford, wage increase from $22.20, effective 6/1/2019 per Wendy Greer. Desiree Hermosillo, wage changed to salary at $38,690.75 per year, effective 6/10/2019. Erica West, new full-time treasurer at $65,000 per year, effective 6/1/2019. Andrew Vaughn, full-time, effective 2/25/2019 at $14.50 per hour. Karen Freeman, termination 6/7/2019, voluntary resignation. Parker Woolridge, intermittent part-time court security, effective 6/18/2019 at $9 per hour. Karen Freeman, finance officer, transitional assistant, intermittent part-time, effective 6/15/2019 at $25 per hour. and Heather Caraway, jail nurse, effective 7/1/2019 at $62,000 per year per Roger Ford.
Under old business, approved the minutes, June 18th meeting, June 19th, June 24th, and June 28th special call meeting.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then under old business, ordinance 2019-06 speed limit on Union Hill Road, second reading. You got that, Jason?
All right, this is the second reading of ordinance 2019-06. Be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, in accordance with the provisions set forth in 189-395A and based upon the request of affected citizens and after review by Marshall County Road Superintendent and the Marshall County Sheriff's, the Marshall County Fiscal Court does hereby set the speed limit at 35 miles per hour for the following roads located in Marshall County, Kentucky: Union Hill Road.
If there's no questions, we need a motion to approve.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do you want to give a Judicial Center update?
Sure. Of course, you guys know the ongoing issues at the Judicial Building with the mold and trying to figure out what the main problem is. The latest that we have, Russ Litzinger from Markham, we've talked to, and we've told thermal balancing to go up to the fresh air intake on top of the building to rebalance that unit. We understand that there may be some mechanical issues with it, and they may address those as they get into it. Judge and I met with Russ and felt that that initial rebalance, if it started to correct the negative and positive pressure within the building, it could eliminate that mold issue. But we don't know that for sure until we do that rebalance. So they're doing that now, and it may be something that we have to look into. Replacing that fresh air intake unit on top of the building, but we're not there yet. We're just going to try to rebalance that at first. The second issue was the weep holes in the vents that are on the outside of the building. I talked to Castleberry McGregor, which was the architect that designed the building, but also did the project for the waterproofing coating on the outside application of the building from M&M Painting. It was discussed that those weep holes and vents were covered up prior to that application being sprayed on the outside of the building. There was nothing in their documentation that showed that M&M would have covered those, and also wouldn't have been anything that, when you look at some of those pictures, it wouldn't have been that application that would have covered them. It was almost like caulk or something that was applied to those vents and weep holes. So we don't feel that the architect nor M&M have a responsibility to remove those. That being said, Castleberry McGregor also said that there was a Judicial Building maintenance person that may have been involved with that project from the beginning and also prior to, that may know something about why those were covered up. But the short of it is they shouldn't be covered up and should be open. So I anticipate us having to go in there and off, and I'm not sure what all we're going to have to do but those two issues, thermal balancing and the weep holes and vents, we plan to get that finished and then see what the building's doing at that point, and then hopefully go into Judge Telley's office and get him repaired back so he can move back into his building or his office. There is another issue with the HVAC leaking into Judge Jameson's office. That's being addressed by CMI. They hold the maintenance agreement with the Judicial Building, and they're supposed to come out annually and clean the vents and clean the drain lines. So they're out there, well, they've been told to go out there now and fix what's going on. So if you've heard anything the past week, I've been discussing with Judge Jameson and the AOC and CMI to remedy that issue. So that's kind of the best update I have at this point on that. Any questions?
The weep hose, is that anything that special projects can look at, possibly start on, or?
The weep holes
Early for
event,
that?
the opening,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that's something I've talked to Tech and Brock about. He knows that that's something, and I wanted to get all the information from the architect and M&M first before I told them to go start that work, because it's gonna take a bit. I mean, they're gonna have to rent a lift to get up to some of those, and actually find out where they're at. Some of them you can't even see. It's gonna be, you're really gonna have to say, okay, we know one's here, so many feet from this one should be another one, and they're gonna have to do it that way, so. It's going to be a pretty extensive process.
I think in talking with the architects, all the way back with the original engineering, the due diligence, they found that there was quite a bit amount of water in the ground. I know there was discussion several weeks ago as far as the way it was. I don't think folks realized the way it was designed. The elevator shaft is designed to where the water that is collected, the pipes drain it into the elevator shaft. And then there's 2 pumps that pump out the water. I mean, the amount of water that is in the ground, and this was, I guess, identified when they had the engineering study done.
Yeah, there was a geotechnical survey done before they built the building, and there was significant amount of groundwater that they were going to encounter when building the building, but apparently that wasn't taken into consideration as much, and they ended up having to make some adjustments to pump that water out, and apparently it's a significant amount. I don't know that we've identified that's a significant issue with the mold, but we do know that it's something that we have to continue to watch and make sure those pumps don't go out, because if they do, which we had one go out a couple months ago or a month ago, we had to go in there and pull it and make sure it didn't come up into the basement, or else we would have had an issue. So just another thing that we have to keep tabs on.
All right. Under new business, ordinance 2019-08, amendment to the administrative code, first reading.
So this is, hope you guys received it. I finished it late last night, but I did say that. I said that. I started.
Good catch, Jason.
Yeah. No.
It was just we didn't get it last night.
You
so
didn't? Okay.
First reading, I mean, we'll be able to
Yeah.
discuss this
Yeah.
next time, right? Okay.
So what I
'Cause
plan
I know
to,
that 6.2, I thought there was a few more spaces within that, or does that cover all of it?
what do you mean?
Like there were probably 4 sections within that, subsections that had 20,000. Does that cover
yes.
all of those?
It should. Now, if that number on, 6.2 was the procurement, the 30,000. If that A states that, then I may have to go through and make sure.
Look and see. I think there was at least 4 subsections that had that 20,000.
What I tried to do was, instead of going into, because I've got the document that I'm working off of, and then I've got this single page, the amendment that we'll read as the first reading, instead of having to go back into I wanted to get this passed first before I actually put it into the code, because it gets a little bit sticky when I go back and forth, because this is our 4th version, I think, of the admin code, with amendments every year. So if there's different ones on that need to go into the code, I can put that in this amendment page too.
Okay.
Should I go read that? This is Marshall County, Kentucky, ordinance number 2019-08, amendment to an ordinance number 2018-06, an ordinance relating to the administrative code and amendment thereof. Whereas the County of Marshall adopted an administrative code of Marshall County on June 19th, 2018, and whereas it was determined that certain provisions should be amended and/or deleted to the code, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that the following amendments are made to the administrative code for Marshall County. Amended section 2.6B to remove administrative positions into boards and commissions in writing, and with the written nomination submitted to Fiscal Court, to remove, to remove the fiscal court members in writing at least 2 business days prior to the date of proposed amendment, to include administrative positions, boards, and commissions, and submit written nominations to the fiscal court for approval. Amendment Section 3.8C, to remove fiscal court members shall receive a copy of the proposed amendments in required format at least 1 week prior to the first reading. Amended Section 4.1A, to remove the annual budget preparation process shall be administered by a budget committee consisting of the county judge, treasurer, assistant treasurer, 1 commissioner selected by the fiscal court, with the county judge breaking a tie vote if necessary, deputy judge executive, and county attorney, to include, in accordance with KRS 68240, a proposed budget prepared by the county judge executive must be submitted to the fiscal court for comment before it is sent to the state local finance officer for initial approval and classifications of expenditures into budget units. The fiscal court may change the budget proposal at this time. Amended Section 4.1 to include H, the Marshall County budget approved by the state and local finance officer shall be submitted to the fiscal court for adoption in the form of an ordinance not later than July 1st of each fiscal year. To include I, the county judge shall cause a copy of the proposed budget to be posted in a conspicuous place in the courthouse near the front door and not less than 7 days before final adoption. To include subsection 1, a summary of the county budget shall be published in accordance to KRS Chapter 424 before final approval or adoption. To include subsection 2, a summary of the county budget shall be published in accordance with KRS Chapter 424 within 30 days after adoption by the fiscal court. To include subsection 3, the county judge shall maintain a copy of the budget as adopted together with any amendments adopted thereafter for public inspection. Amended Section 4.2 to remove the entire section. Amended Section 4.3 to remove and/or Director of Finance. Amended Section 5.1, definitions of exempt employees, to include those positions deemed exempt are Deputy Judge Executive, E911 Director, E911 Assistant Director, Parks Director, Parks Ground Supervisor, Treasurer, Road Superintendent, Road Supervisor 1, Road Supervisor 2, GIS, IT Director, Economic Development Director, Animal Care and Control Director, and Maintenance Supervisor. Amended Section 5.3D to remove, there's a chart in there. That's the old chart that we used for last year, and we've changed that chart, so we're removing that entire chart and amending Section 5.3D to include the new chart, which shows categories by name, minimum, midpoint, and maximum for hourly rates, and then the type, whether they're exempt or non-exempt. Amended Section 5.12 to include B, when work injuries create actual emergencies, employees must seek the nearest emergency medical care. Fortunately, most injuries are not emergencies. In those instances, workers must continue reporting work injuries to their supervisor immediately. Employees then call 866-4KECO to report their injuries before seeking medical treatment. When employees do so, there's no need for supervisors to complete injury reports. Amended Section 5.24D to include non-exempt, to include if an employee resigns, retires, is terminated, or changes employment status from full-time to part-time, they will be compensated for 100% of unused vacation, but will receive no compensation for unused compensatory time. Amended Section 5.51A, subsection 3, is to include at the discretion of the department head. Amendment Section 6.2, subsection A, to remove $20,000 to include $30,000 in accordance to KRS 424-260. The first reading of the ordinance was held on this second day of July 2019.
I thought we were going to change that 20 to 30 to state the amount.
Just to remove the 30,000, or just say
Yeah,
according
how
to-
was that
According
worded,
to
Jason? I'm sorry.
statute.
Yeah, according to the statute. or
Yeah,
whatever,
according to
then you don't
statute.
ever
just
have
don't
to-
put the number in there.
Then you don't
Now,
have to change
The reason
amount.
why I did is as I was trying to amend that portion, I was trying to make it read right, so I put the 30,000 in, but I can redo it to make sure it just states that KRS, and if it changes, it'll just fluctuate with the statute if that's your intention.
Right, okay, yeah.
I would say, just reference according to state law. I mean, because you never know when they're gonna screw around with the KRS numbers, and it may not always be under 424. So I would just say in accordance with state law, and just keep it simple like that. State requirements, however you want to word it.
Under new business, Shoemaker Road turnaround. When do you want to give a brief?
Yes, as y'all know, we're fixing to pave Shoemaker Road this fall. And at the end of the road, there was no turnaround, and where people had been turning around in driveways, they'd busted up the driveway. It was concrete. There was some heavy trucks going in there and turning around. So the gentleman at the end, Mr. Glogowski was his name, he has donated some property for us to build a turnaround there before we pave it, so we can declare that as a public turnaround. So they won't, it's just right before the end of the roads, so that way maybe it'll keep them out of their driveways as much. We couldn't build the turnaround at the very end of the road because of the way the ground fell off on both sides. And there's a garage, it's been built years ago on the right-of-way, so it didn't give us enough room to actually build a turnaround or a cul-de-sac there. So that's what, I mean, we're wanting to get it built so we can pave it when we pave the road.
So he's gonna deed the property over?
Yes, he's done a quick claim deed.
So we just need a motion for me to sign this.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, under new business, D, disaster relief designation resolution. I'll just read this. Be it resolved by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Darlene Lynn, Marshall County EM Admin Specialist 2, is hereby authorized to execute for and in behalf of the Marshall County Fiscal Court, a public entity established under the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, this application and to file it in the appropriate state office for the purpose of obtaining certain federal financial assistance under the Disaster Relief Act, Public Law 288, 93rd Congress, or otherwise available from the President's Disaster Relief Fund, that Marshall County Fiscal Court, a public entity established under the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, hereby authorizes its agent to provide the state and to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for all matters pertaining to such federal disaster assistance. The assurances and agreements printed on the reverse side of hereof. We would need a motion for me to sign this for Darlene to be the applicant agent for county. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, we'll move on to E. This is the MOA on the home-delivered meals from the PAD. The PAD put this together for us. I'm just going to go ahead and read this. This is for the Title III C2 and home care, home-delivered meals. It's going to be the PAD, the Fiscal Court, and McCracken County senior citizens in Marcellus. This document is a memorandum of agreement between the Purchase Area Development District located at 1002 Medical Drive, Mayfield, Kentucky, herein referred to as PAD, and the Paducah McCracken County Senior Citizens Incorporated, located at 1400 AC Mathis Drive in Paducah, herein referred to as Senior Center. This MOA is an agreement for the senior center to provide and deliver Title III C2 and home care, home-delivered meals for the Marsh County clients. This program is to be administered as the Senior Center Title III C2 and home care, home-delivered meals programs, including adherence to all applicable federal and state regulations, contract stipulations, Department of Independent Living, DAIL, standard operating procedures, etc. This program is subject to PAD, DAIL, and Cabinet for Health and Family Services monitoring. All paperwork, record keeping, data entry into SAMS, and monthly reporting as required as for the senior center. The unit rate established for a hot meal delivered meal and for emergency meals is $7.50 per meal delivered in Marshall County. Meals will be delivered in Marshall County on all days. The McCracken County Senior Citizens Center is open and delivering meals to McCracken County. The exception would be during inclement weather. The McCracken County senior citizens will follow the Marsh County school closure and not deliver on those days. The vehicle for meals delivery will be owned, licensed, insured, maintained, and made available to the senior center by the Marsh County Fiscal Court. The fuel cost is calculated in the $7.50 per meal cost. The term of this agreement shall be for a period of 1 year beginning on July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. The terms and conditions of this agreement may be extended or amended with written agreement by both parties. Neither party to this agreement shall assign or transfer this agreement without a minimum of 30-day express written consent of the other party. This agreement is subject to the terms and conditions stated herein. By affixing signatures below, the parties verify that they are authorized to enter into this agreement and that they accept the consent to be bound by the terms and conditions stated herein. I said Marcella's. They're not actually in this MOA, but they are participating with the congregate meals. Marcella's will be providing the congregate meals. So this is just the MOA for the 3C2 and the home care delivered meals. And they actually started that yesterday. So that is, I guess we would need action for me to sign this.
So move.
Is PAD covering the cost on that?
Yes. The, these meals, the draft pilot program that was sent to the state, the request was originally Marcella's, which they're still going to continue. Marcella's has volunteer drivers. Their goal is to continue to start something that they've always wanted to do, is deliver meals to folks that meet these requirements here in Marshall County. But the 3C2 and the home care delivered meals, the PAD is required to go into a contract. Because Marcella's meals don't meet the nutritional requirements of the state and federal meals, they had to come up with a different solution for their programs. So the senior citizens in McCracken County were already preparing the meals. They just went in, they increased the meal rate. Prior to, it was $6.50. They just increased it to $7.50. That covers the fuel cost and the labor cost to deliver the meals. And the PAD is going to pay that because that's the allocations that Marsh County gets. So those funds will go through the PAD to the senior citizens in McCracken County, and it'll fund that. The vehicles that we already had that were being used are going to be continued to be used to deliver those meals. And I think there's another vehicle that the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, the PAD that's actually going to go back to the PAD. They're going to be doing the asset accountability because, again, these are federal and state dollars, so anything purchased with those dollars will have to go back to the PAD. But these services are going to be continued in the county, but in the future, if you remember that contract that the PAD had with the Benton Senior Citizen, was a 3-year contract. When they voted to break out of that contract, there still was a year remaining. And the state said that it can't be a 1-month contract, it has to be a 1 year. And so there's actually a pilot program that's being conducted in Marshall County, and that is what we had discussed. Marcella's will be providing the home care meals. The PAD is going to hire an assistant director to actually work at Marcella's from 9 to 1. They will provide the supportive services, and folks that want to go to Marcella's. Marcella's is opening up her doors to any of the seniors in the community that want to come there from 9 to 1. The intake services will still be taken with the assistant director that's going to be working from the PAD. They have the supportive services, wellness, exercise, things of that nature that was provided, will still be provided. So the services are still going to be provided. I think that this next year, Marcella's will have an opportunity to work on their initiative to actually provide meals from Marcella's to those in the community that want them. So actually, there's going to be 2 options eventually. Seniors in our community that want a meal can have, they can do the intake and get these federal and state funded meals, or they can actually get a meal from Marcella's. So that's the goal. I think in the long run, we're going to capture more folks with these services and provide these services to more people that are already in need to receive those services. I think this is something that in the long term is going to grow and be better for our community and for those that need those services.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Payment of the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Judge, if I don't bring this up, there would be pitchforks and torches waiting for me at the Judicial Building when I get back. I believe, in years past, when July 4th has fallen on a Thursday, the state has given that Friday as another day off. I'm not sure why they didn't do that this year. Several people at the Judicial Building have inquired with me about that. I think Tiffany Fralix Griffith is considering going ahead and closing her office, and so I was asked to raise that as a issue to be discussed. So.
Have Friday off? Is that something that Fiscal Court actually?
Well, you can control the county, but if the county, I believe if the county closes, I think Judge Mattingly will, and there's not even court. All the judges have canceled court, so there's no real business that's scheduled to be taking place Friday. So if the county decides to give the day off, then the Judicial Building will close too.
Oh, okay. So
We're wanting us to give the county workers Friday off, so y'all can have Friday off down there.
I was asked to
Okay.
bring this before the court, so.
I don't care. If y'all want Friday off, take Friday off. I don't care. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Just a question though, is that at the discretion of how the employees want to use their leave time, or is that an additional holiday that you're adding?
Make an additional holiday. Don't make them take more of their time.
Clarification?
Just for this year.
Yeah, just for
Yeah, I
this
mean,
year.
this would just be for this fiscal year, and then you could do it again next year if you wanted
So there was a motion, was there a second?
It-
Next year
it's
it'll be
not-
Friday, so I guarantee you I have no issue.
It's not
with
unprecedented,
Saturday off.
because I do remember, Justin, you were here, I think, in years past when that extra day was given. And I'm not sure why the state didn't do it this year, so.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We'll just make sure you
Thank
get
you,
a.
Jason.
All those in favor say aye.
They voted on it.
Any opposed? Motion carries.